Absolutely more than Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe, it's me or her. Either I'm going down, Jen, or you are.
Now I'm going to ask about the content of Hoslong to Die in Cold, correct?
That was done in the morning at the request of Miss Reed.
The search was Hoslong to Die in Cold, and it happened at or before 2:27 a.m.
Are we going to hear from Richard Green in this trial?
No.
Why not?
I believe the evidence is all out, and in part from Ian Whiffen.
A bombshell decision from defendant Karen Reed's team. Cell phone expert Richard Green no longer being called to testify by them in her retrial. So what does this tell us? And is Karen Reed getting nervous? A body language expert reads into the defendant's behavior. Also this hour, Diddy's defense team demanding a mistrial. The music mogul's team is claiming that the federal government presented false testimony about the balcony incident. Plus, combative cult mom, one of America's favorite judges, joins us live to talk about Lori Daybell's actions in the courtroom. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Tuesday morning to you, and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court? We're ready. We got a great show planned for you, so let's get started. Grab that cup of coffee. It's time for my opening statement. Mama Donna's got some new drama. Are you surprised? According to court documents, a jailhouse snitch made allegations that Donna Adelson was willing to pay for witness testimony in her upcoming murder trial. Authorities say that the snitch's claims were thoroughly investigated by the FBI, the Tallahassee Police Department, and the district attorney's office, and no charges were filed. Okay, so what does that mean? The snitch made it up? Well, maybe. Or does it mean that there just wasn't enough evidence to prove that Mama Donna made the alleged statements? I could believe either scenario. How about you? Because when we go back to why Donna's in the slammer in the first place, awaiting her trial, it's because of allegedly paying for a crime. Allegedly paying hitmen to murder her former son-in-law, Danny Markell. We learned during Charlie's trial from Catherine McBanowa's testimony that Mama Donna allegedly literally laundered the payment money, allegedly washed it to try to get rid of fingerprints. So it wouldn't stun me if she made the remarks that the snitch claims she did. Now, even with the investigation yielding no charges, I suppose the learning lesson is another helpful reminder to the matriarch of the Adelson family to keep quiet. What you don't say can never be used against you. And what I really can't wait to see, my friends, is what Donna or any of the other Adelsons say at her trial. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
But I was not the focus of that entire argument. Is that correct?
My focus was my family, my wife and my children. I love them, and I didn't want them to go through pain.
Is that what you spent all those hours arguing?
Yeah, because I love them and I wanted to work through things with my wife, yes.
In Arizona, we've got testimony resuming in cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell's attempted murder trial. That gets underway at 1 p.m. Eastern time. In New York City, we've got alleged victim Jane returning to the stand this morning for more cross-examination. Court's going to resume at 9 a.m. And in South Carolina, opening statements expected in our newest live trial we're bringing you. This one we've deemed the coroner affair murder trial of Megan Jackson. This woman is accused of killing her ex-boyfriend, and her new boyfriend is expected to testify against her. Court's going to get underway 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Now, we turn to our top story for you this morning. The defense in Karen Reed's retrial could be resting today after putting on a case that looks much different than the case they put on in trial number 1. We know her team has decided not to call cell phone expert Richard Green. You may remember him. He testified in the first trial that Jennifer McCabe's Google search, Hoslong to Die in Cold, happened hours earlier than prosecutors said it did.
We found a Google search that happened. First of all, the search was how long to die in cold, and it happened at or before 2:27 a.m.
In what state did you find that artifact?
Yeah, so the specific artifact, or it comes from a record, and the record number on this is 4028, I believe, and it was in a deleted state.
Okay, so what does this mean for Karen Reed's retrial? Because all along, Karen Reed and many of her very vocal supporters have been adamant, alleging that Jennifer McCabe, John O'Keefe's dear friend, had some involvement in his death. That was the allegation that they were making. And Karen Reed even spoke about it in the docuseries that aired on Discovery ID. Take a look.
Absolutely more than Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe, it's me or her. Either I'm going down, Jen, or you are.
Now, Jennifer McCabe said all along the searches happened when Karen Reed directed her to make them at 6:23 in the morning, when they discovered John O'Keefe in the snow. She was consistent in her testimony all along. Now, the only thing that's inconsistent is the defense backing off of that position, essentially conceding, not doing it loudly, not doing it with an apology, but conceding that the government and Jennifer McCabe were right all along. Jennifer McCabe told the truth all along. Let's talk about this, and let's talk about what kind of fallout we may see. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joe Krowski and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Randolph Rice. And Joe, might I add, practices in the Boston, Massachusetts area as well. Good morning to you both. Joe, let me begin with you, if I may here, please. Your thoughts on this concession from the defense.
So this concession coincides with the defense pivoting to a more conventional reasonable doubt strategy. I think that they are sensing that the third-party culprit defense is falling short, and that's why they're not calling Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, or Michael Proctor, along with Richard Green. You have to remember that the Commonwealth very deftly sandwiched Jen McCabe in between Ian Whiffen, who works for Cellbrite, the company that designed the software that does the cell phone extractions, and Jessica Hyde, who works for Magnet Axiom, and she's on the board of the company that does the analysis. And I just don't think when they made their final assessment, they thought Richard Green, when you juxtapose him against that type of expertise, was going to last. From a common sense perspective, the search never made sense that Jen McCabe would go home at 2:27 in the morning and make a search about how long her good friend John O'Keefe would last out on that snow in the front yard of 34 Fairview. I agree, this was one of the early pillars of this case, and Jen McCabe was one of the linchpins of the conspiracy. She has suffered a tremendous amount of harassment based on what we now know is Richard Green's misinterpretation of this. I hope people that have said nasty things about her and terrorized her just have a moment of self-reflection. She's a terrific person that has been through a lot that no one should ever have to go through.
Joe, I love how you put that. It has been nothing short of appalling seeing what Jennifer McCabe, especially, and other case witnesses here, friends of John O'Keefe, had to go through, what the O'Keefe family has had to go to. I've never seen anything like this in my life in a case. Randolph, I want to ask you, please, about Jennifer McCabe and how she never wavered. We've got a clip here. This is her testifying in the retrial. You're aware she testified in trial number 1. Let's take a look at some of the cross, which was rigorous.
I Googled. Did you see a record that indicated a Google search? Not what the content of the Google search is, but there was a Google search.
I just saw a Cellbrite record, yes.
And did you see the time of the Google search?
On that record, yes.
Is it 2:27 a.m., correct?
Yes.
Ultimately, you will agree that there was a Google search done, and now I'm going to ask about the content of Hoslong to Die in Cold, correct?
That was done in the morning at the request of Miss Reed.
McCabe, I didn't ask you that.
Okay, Alan Jackson was going after her hard. He did in the first trial, he did in the second trial. You know this, Randolph. I'm curious, this trial decision, this decision that the defendant announced just very nonchalantly to not call their expert, as Joe so astutely put it, they made this 227 alleged search the pillar of the case, right? They're deciding not to call him. Randolph, do you think this was a last-minute decision? Do you think that because, perhaps maybe things aren't going so well, or maybe they don't think the jury is going to believe their theory, that they made a last-minute pivot to do this? Because otherwise, I don't know why Alan Jackson would have gone so hard on Jen McCabe.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I do think it was a last-minute decision, but probably a last-minute decision after Jen McCabe testified. If you remember from the first trial, they really were able to get a lot more, I guess, sort of ground on Jen McCabe. But this second time around, she did so much better on the stand. That's the point in time I think they maybe started to rethink the theory and bringing in Mr. Green. So last minute, maybe after Jen McCabe testified this last time around was when the decision was made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point too, Randolph. You know, it was a lot better, as it should be, right? Everybody should do better in round two. It's like everybody gets a mulligan with a mistrial. Joe Krowski, back to you, please. In terms of what remedies people like Jennifer McCabe may have, I'm curious if you think that Karen Reed and perhaps Turtle Boy, others, who knows, could be sued civilly.
Well, certainly there are people that have opined that Jen McCabe, a person that was a coach, a teacher, a wife, a mother, you know, a volunteer in the community, they have not just opined, they have stated as fact that she was complicit either in the murder or the cover-up of the murder of John O'Keefe. So there are avenues open to her, but she might, notwithstanding that, she might just want to put this whole ordeal past her and go back to trying to live as normal a life as possible. You know, I've taken some criticism. I'm a defense attorney, and of course I've represented Colin Albert in this case, and I've come out pretty strong in my opinions. And one of the things that has motivated me is Jen McCabe. That could be anyone. That could be anyone's mother or sister or wife. And I've just looked at what's been done to her without any merit at all. And again, remember Selbright. They wouldn't let Ian Whiffen testify unless they gave him their blessing and that they believed that he was firm. They actually changed their software so the same mistake wouldn't be repeated. There was the mistake that Richard Green made. So I think it's firmly established that that search didn't happen. And minus that search, Jen McCabe doesn't get brought into this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe, you're right. That's a big learning lesson. You're right. I don't know if the people who harassed her and bullied her so terribly are going to self-reflect, but they should, because you're right. Innocent people should never be subjected to this. Randolph, let me ask you, please, because you do civil work in your practice as well. Are you expecting civil lawsuits besides the one that, for anybody wondering, there is one pending that the O'Keefe family has filed against Karen Reed. They filed a wrongful death suit. But in terms of defamation suits, are you expecting a flurry of those to be filed as well?
You know, that's hard to say, Julie, at this point in time. You know, I think they want to obviously let the criminal trial play out, see what everybody says. But then at the end of the day, you got to think about who your parties are, right? Who are you going to go after? You're going to go after Karen Reed? Well, there's probably, you know, trying to get blood from a stone. Are you going to go after the lawyers? Well, you probably can't get anything from them because they're doing something here. Maybe one of the companies, possibly for information they put out there, because they might have deep pockets. You've always got to think about the parties and what you can gain from them.
Yeah, really great points there. We'll leave it here for now. Joe Krowski, I know I need to let you get off to court. Thank you so much for making time for us. We'll see you soon. Randolph Rice is coming with us. Please do the same at home. Still ahead here on Opening Statements.
What were you thinking when Mr. Combs was holding you up on that 17th floor balcony?
Objection.
Overruled. You can answer.
For a split second, I was thinking about if I was going to fall. But for the most part, he was yelling at me, so I was trying to answer him.
The balcony incident front and center in the Diddy motion for a mistrial. We'll talk about what the judge will decide and how do you handle a difficult defendant? Well, we're asking, One of America's favorite judges. How you do that? That's coming up in what's tipping the scales.
Karen Reed is in the midst of the retrial of the century.
She is factually innocent. She's guilty.
There's something wrong in this county.
Come at me.
John O'Keefe was killed by that defendant, Karen Reed.
She's the victim of a corrupted investigation that was never about the truth.
Another big day here at the Dedham Courthouse.
Fight on. Nothing's breaking me, Matt.
You'll see it all unfold right here on Court TV.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
So starting with blood, how would blood get on the linens at freak-offs?
I was expected to have freak-offs on my period.
Who expected you to do freak-offs on your period?
Sean.
Who decided how many entertainers you would be with in a single hotel night?
Sean.
How did you feel during the freak-offs when Sean beat you?
Worthless, just like dirt, like I didn't matter to him. But that I was nothing, like absolutely nothing.
How did you react to seeing news coverage and social media posts about Cassie's lawsuit?
Because there was 3 specific pages that was just a harrowing resemblance to what I was experiencing.
As federal prosecutors are calling more alleged victims of Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul's defense team is once again asking for the case to be tossed. This time, Diddy and his attorneys are requesting a mistrial based on alleged prosecutorial misconduct. In a motion filed on Saturday, the defense team alleges that prosecutors presented demonstrably false evidence related to Brianna Bongolan's claim that she was dangled from a balcony by Combs back in the year 2016. Diddy's lawyers are accusing Bongolan of perjury connected to that alleged incident, claiming that longtime friend of star witness Cassie Ventura was asked about this by Diddy's defense last week.
But let me ask you, did you and Cassie have a conversation? And Cassie told you she did not see you get hung over a balcony?
I don't remember.
You told Ms. Ventura she was there?
She was there.
But you told her that? She didn't recall that, true? Objection.
That's sustained.
And you, Cassie, had all of these conversations in November and December of 2023, true?
We had conversations.
Now, the judge is set to address that motion for mistrial later today, so we're asking, should the judge grant it? Why or why not? Let's bring in our legal eagles now here to discuss. Still with me, Attorney Randolph Rice. Want to welcome in former homicide prosecuting attorney and Professor Melba Pearson. Good morning to you both. Melba, let me begin with you. Your thoughts, I'm sure you read the filings by the Diddy team, and they're saying that prosecutors knew about this, saying that this didn't happen. Essentially, they're saying that these 2 women made up this testimony together and aligned their testimony together, and they should have known, and they put it forward anyways. What do you think about the allegations?
Well, good morning, Julian Randolph. And I see it mostly as gamesmanship because much like their previous motion for a mistrial that was denied, and it's one of those things where I feel that defense attorneys file that at different junctures to either A, as a Hail Mary, or B, they may find that there's an issue, but they don't actually think it's really, the case is really going to be dismissed or mistried at that juncture. The issue I'm having with this is maybe I missed something, but I remember the government putting a witness on the stand. I believe his name was Enrique. I can't remember his last name, but he was a data analyst person who had pulled text messages, deleted text messages from Cassie's phone that were contemporaneous to when this happened. And she was texting someone being like, I got to get away. This is crazy. He dangled Brianna over a balcony. And it, you know, from the text messages, it seemed that she didn't actually witness it, but it was around the same time, and clearly she was freaked out by whatever it is that happened. So to me, that doesn't say that the prosecution put on demonstrably false evidence. Maybe there was some confusion about the date, which is why, as prosecutors, when you file an information or a charging document, an indictment, you say on or about X date, because sometimes in trauma, depending if it's years ago, whatever the case may be, folks may get the date wrong. It may be off by a day or off by, 2 days, something like that, but it doesn't mean the incident didn't happen. So I understand why they filed it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
I appreciate it, Melba. And you were spot on, exactly what you said about the Cassie text messages. Looking directly at their motion, what they filed, they pulled the text, as you said, from Cassie's phone that said, quote, "Hey, I just found out some crazy," I'll use the word stuff. "I'm just finding out right now." So to your point, exactly what you said, Melba, they're trying to make it seem like Cassie didn't witness this, that she just said she witnessed it, and not a good look if that is true. Cassie was so powerful, though, and said so many things that we know are true. Randolph, what do you think here? Reconciling these things, the defense essentially trying to paint these women as liars. We have other concrete evidence to go on with other things that they said. How do you think the judge reconciles this?
Well, if I'm the defense, I'm continuing to push these things, and I think the judge certainly is going to take this in consideration. I think he denies this motion, but if you're the defense, you're thinking about two different words: credibility and reliability for each witness that's up there. And that's on the wall in your conference room every night you go back to work, and you think about how can we attack the reliability and the credibility of each witness that the government calls. And that's what they're going to have to do here, because now they've got something to run on with credibility, or rather reliability. Are their stories reliable because there are inconsistencies?
Yeah, great points from you both. Thank you. Let's listen to a little more of the defense crossing Brianna Bongolan. So again, this is a stylist, friends with Cassie, claiming she was dangled over the balcony.
But isn't it true that before you filed your suit, you and Cassie spoke right there at the end of the year? That's where I am, okay? Yes?
Yes.
And you guys talked about this balcony story, true?
Yes.
Cassie was saying hotel. You were saying your apartment has a balcony, true?
I didn't say it like that.
Okay. Cassie said hotel. You said apartment?
Yes.
And Cassie's apartment had a balcony, true?
Yes.
And you and Cassie were discussing potential dates, true?
Yes. But just the way you say it.
Ooh, okay, that cross. Melba, what did you think of that cross? I know this was just a snippet of it, but pretty devastating.
Listen, I can't pretend. The defense did do a great job at cross, right? And they did really point out the holes in her testimony. And again, I keep saying this over and over again, the prosecution is going to have to give the closing of their life. Okay, like lip sync for your life. This has to be the best closing argument you've ever given in your career and probably ever will give again, because you really have to bring all of these different aspects together for the jury and show that, okay, listen, maybe this was a drug-fueled night, whatever the case may be. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. Look at all the pieces in terms of the text messages. Look at the consistencies in terms of other bits of evidence and other common threads that were present throughout all the survivors' testimony or throughout all the forensic evidence that was presented, things like that. You have to redirect the jury's attention rather than, okay, Brianna was mistaken about this, or Brianna may have had, this reason to want to testify against Diddy, or whatever the case may be. Bring them back to what you do know. You know that Brianna got on there. You know that she was weeping. You know that look at her demeanor. Was she terrified? And again, look at the text messages or the exchange that Cassie had with another person, talking about how freaked out she was about this incident. So kind of point them to what you do know and what you think can really be solid for the jury to understand this whole thing.
So helpful, Melba. Thank you. We know that Jane is going to be back on the stand today. The cross will begin with her. So this is a girlfriend of Diddy's up until recent time. He's still paying for things in her life right now, for her lawyers even. Some voicemails were admitted into evidence from Diddy to Jane. One of them I'm going to play here. This is him saying to her to get on your job.
Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad, I can have a spat, we can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice.
Ooh, Randolph Rice, what do you think that message coming back to haunt him?
Well, as a defense, I could argue a lot of different reasons of what that may mean. Does that mean her job was she was somehow working for Diddy, that she had something to do? Or did this go back towards their relationship, and job refers to the part of the relationship that they were starting to hold up, or that she needs to hold up her end of the relationship and supporting him and emotionally? And so I'm arguing as a defense that job means something different, but obviously that's going to be a different analysis from the government.
Yeah, no, that's a great argument. I'm glad you made it, Randolph. We'll see what the Diddy team does today with that. Certainly, they're going to address it. Maybe off the top of the cross. Who knows? Because it was one of those big talked about things, as you both know, when it comes to the Diddy trial news. So we'll leave it there for now. Great discussion, as always. Melba Pearson, Randolph Rice, thank you kindly. Coming up next, here's what we've got.
Because you represent yourself, no one else can waive your own appearance.
You're welcome to come over to the jail and come to my cell and see how I'm doing in there.
All right, I'll take a pass on that.
Oh, we're spotlighting cult moms' behavior in the courtroom, and we're doing it with one of America's favorite judges. And Karen Reed's retrial nearing its end. Many of you are asking, what does her body language tell us? So we're bringing in an expert to find out.
Which would also be 404B that they withdrew. That would be 405.
Yeah, they withdrew it, but if you bring up 404 that you...
Then all 404B is in, or do we get a hearing on what 404B can come in? If I open the door, do I get a hearing? We stop trial and I get a hearing on...
Stop.
Oh, that was one of the many times Arizona Judge Justin Boreski had to reel in Lori Vallow Daybell at her attempted homicide trial. So how is the judge doing? A high-profile judge weighs in this morning as we shine a spotlight on this case. Daybell back in court Monday. According to our producer, she was on her best behavior. Now, this was a stark change, as you know, my friends, from Friday when she and Judge Boreski went toe-to-toe on a few issues.
If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders. So
and would you
talk to your advisory counsel during the break. And
you don't need to yell at me either.
I'm at you, okay?
Yeah, you are, and you do not need to talk to me that way. I'm very courteous. I'm very courteous to you.
No, you have been nothing near courteous to me during the course of these proceedings.
Many of us here at Court TV have said that the judge has handled Lori pretty darn well as she is representing herself once again. So what's it like to preside over a high-profile trial with a very difficult defendant? Let's bring in one of America's favorite judges, the Honorable Larry Seidlin. He is retired now after an illustrious career. He famously presided over Anna Nicole Smith's body custody case. Judge, good morning to you. Help us understand what it is like to be this Arizona judge, if you would, please.
This judge is saying, what am I doing here? What did I do wrong that the Lord put me in this courtroom with her? Very difficult. These matters have to be handled in the same way that porcupines make love, very carefully. She's a bunch of acid. She's fiery. She's wild, and she's been already convicted of 4 murders. They're going through this trial because you never know how the other trials will be on appeal in case any of these other cases get thrown out. So they have to go through their exercise, the prosecutors, and charge her here and go through a trial because they want to have a lot of cases sitting against her. The judge has to be very careful because you got a jury sitting there. In my case, with Anna Nicole Smith, it was a judge trial, so I couldn't prejudice a jury. I'm concerned at times when the judge has these discussions with this defendant, Lori, that the jury is hearing this. I would prefer it to be outside the presence of the jury, these discussions. But I guess the judge feels like he'll be a yo-yo because there's going to be continuous moving the jury outside the courtroom, and it'll completely slow down the process of the trial.
Judge, you are a national treasure. I tell you what, we need a book of your pearls of wisdom because the porcupine line is the best line of the day. And we're just getting started here on Court TV. I have a clip I want to play for you now. This is just some of the interaction with Cult Mom and His Honor. Let's take a look.
I'm the only one who's being asked to pay a consequence for this crime.
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to object and strike that.
Sustained.
You, the jury, are brought in to stand between the state and me.
And I'm going to object again to improper statement of the law, argument, and irrelevance.
Sustained.
I am a person who loves all people and has no malice towards anyone, not even the prosecutors who wrongfully try to convict me.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to relevance and to argument.
Sustained.
Oh, Judge, does it get tricky with objections, especially when you have a pro se defendant who isn't a trained lawyer and may not even understand what's being submitted as the basis for the objection to the court and then the ruling that comes thereafter?
Well, this matzo ball thinks she's in small claims court where you're fighting over $500, $700. It's an attempted murder case, a conspiracy. And she wants to try the case. It's just way out there. And she's learning how to try a case with her neck on the line. A complete meatball. And the judge has to be patient because he knows he's on TV. He knows the media is watching him. And then the record, the appellate court's going to look at the record very carefully. But the appellate court is not going to want to reverse this case. Not going to say there's so many errors that we got to bring it back to another trial judge. Because they don't want to make another trial judge go through all of this again, all the shenanigans. And all the expense, it cost us a fortune, taxpayer dollars to go through this trial. And the judge is being very careful. He knows he's being viewed by the public, the media, and he's got to make the judiciary look good.
Right, Judge. I would think any case could be challenging in terms of exhibiting patience and restraint, but in particular, cases with people like Lori Vallow Daybell, representing herself, thinks she knows it all. What's that like when you're a judge and there may be things you want to say, but you know you have to hold back because it's all being recorded by the stenographer?
My wife, Belinda, and my daughter, Dax, my wife would say, look, you're going to be on TV. Don't embarrass us. Don't say anything that's going to shed us in a bad light. I always think of that as I'm in the courtroom. With Ann and Nicole trial, it was non-jury. So I was able to be more demonstrative, more opinionated, because they can't say I'm prejudicing anyone because I'm the trier of fact. I'm the one who's going to make that decision. It's very, very difficult to sit on the bench. It's not a cruise to the Mediterranean. You have to be careful. I spent 28 years on the bench, and to this day, hopefully, I'm still careful in what I say. It's a difficult job, and I jogged during the Ann and Nicole case. I got up real early in the morning. I jogged every morning to get the steam out of the shirt to try to feel nice and relaxed during the trial.
Oh, that's really smart. Boy, thanks for sharing that with us, Judge. We know you have made your beautiful wife and beautiful daughter so proud with your career, and we love hearing what you have to say here on Court TV. So thank you so much for everything this morning. We'll look forward to having you back soon.
You're the best.
You are, Judge. Take care. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the case going on in Massachusetts that has everybody talking about the body language of defendant Karen Reed. We're bringing in an expert to break it down.
I feel great. I'm anxious. I'm ready to put on our case, which will be more robust than it was last year. So I'm anxious for everyone to learn what we know.
What differences will you have for your case?
More witnesses, broader and deeper.
Two trials are captivating the country, and we'll look at what to expect each day as Sean Diddy Combs and Karen Reed move closer to learning their fate.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Weekday mornings at 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
Lori Daybell, doomsday cult mom, convicted killer, and now defendant, and yet another high-profile trial.
Will this be the final chapter in the saga
of the doomsday cult mom? The Lori Daybell conspiracy trial. Today on Court TV.
Now for what's tipping the scales. Sometimes it's not just what we say, but how we act, our body language. And that's exactly what we're going to be taking a look at here in the Karen Reed murder retrial. Yes, we see defendant Karen Reed speaking outside of the courtroom. But what does her body language convey, both inside and outside?
Are we going to hear from Richard Green in this trial?
No.
Why not?
I believe the evidence is all out, and in part from Ian Whiffen.
Will you have
Are you still disputing the 227? Or, I mean, the 6 o'clock? The timestamp of Jenna?
That's been addressed.
Oh, you know, we talked about that earlier in the show. That's a big deal. The defense backing off of that 227 search that they kept claiming happened despite all of the evidence showing it didn't happen, then happened at 6:23 a.m. when Jennifer McCabe said it did. So what did Karen Reed's body language tell us in that last clip? Let's bring in body language expert and author Susan Constantine. Good morning, Susan. What did you see in that clip from her?
So let's compare that to the other times that she's walked out of the courtroom in and out, right? So different demeanor, so something's different. In this one, we're seeing her being more dismissive, sharper with her tone, less communicative, to the point, lack of eye contact. So a much more serious Karen Reed than we've seen in the past. We also always see the duping delight pop out at the very end where she smiles. That's part of Karen Reed's kind of arrogance or smugness. That's what she does. It's duping delight every single time.
Susan, we've got more clips for you. Let's get to them. This is her in that Discovery ID doc, A Body in the Snow. This is where she's talking about Jennifer McCabe. She's kind of made her out to be like her enemy. We know her defense team and people not involved in the case have been making baseless claims about Jennifer McCabe being somehow involved in John O'Keefe's death. Let's listen to what Karen Reed said in the doc.
A little bit more than Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe, it's me or her. Either I'm going down, Jen, or you are.
Okay, Susan, what did you think of that? And here, that was kind of a bonus because we get to see two instances of the body language where we see her in the courtroom as well, watching herself in the dock. We're going to roll it again. Here we go. Rolling it without the sound there. Okay, Susan, what did you think? What did you pick up on in either of those two clips on the split screen?
Sure. So there's quite a few things. There's a fairly large cluster here. When we're listening to her voice, we're listening to her tone increase, right? Her pitch is higher and stronger, and her tone is sharper. Those are three indicators in the voice channel. The other thing is what she does is avoidance, right? When you see her shifting back and forth, the off balance is avoidance. And then what she does is she attacks the attacker. So then now we're looking at what we call CBCA, which is content behavioral analysis, and we're listening to the content of how she's describing it. She uses exclusion qualifiers. She's also using a probability qualifier. So there is, in that little 7 seconds, is a massive cluster of deception.
Wow, this is fascinating. I believe it. I've been saying pants on fire for a while now with respect to her. Let's look at a clip. This is during the defense team's ARCA witnesses redirect. So this is Dr. Daniel Wolf on the stand being redirected by Alan Jackson. Let's take a look at Karen Reed, how she appears here in this video. And this is just video, Susan, so we know there's no sound accompanying this. So feel free to go ahead and jump in whatever you see.
Sure. So what we're seeing is a much more serious Karen Reed. You can see the muscles in her face are far more intense. There's a lot of tension. She does a lot of pulling in the chin. A lot of times when people lose confidence, they'll do that. She kind of juts back out again, uncomfortable as she shifts back and forth. But an overall more serious Karen Reed, I don't think that she feels as confident as she has in the past. I think she appears deflated and anxious. So the fact that she's even kind of rocking, which is more of a self-soother. So there's lots of internal tension that's going on, and it's written all over her face.
Well, this is fascinating analysis, Susan. So same witness is on the stand. Again, it's their defense witness from the company ARCA, Dr. Daniel Wolf, except you see Alan Jackson is back at the table because Hank Brennan is doing the recross at this point. So there's no sound to this video like the other one. Tell us what you're seeing as you look at her, please.
So what we're seeing is when we see the arms kind of up high, where's our emotion? Where do we protect ourselves? We protect ourselves around our major organs, right? So when you've got the arms that are closer and it's very tight, tucked in, this is a form of self-protection, right? Guarding herself from being attacked. Again, her body language is very small, so she's not expanding out and leaning over and talking and feeling more free. She's very guarded and protected and defensive. And then she shrugs off to her attorney, and you just see what we call an artificial smile. It's where she just keeps her lips pressed, and she smiles with the pressed lips, but it's not a genuine smile. It's really more of a condescending smile, like, yeah, I got it, So there's multiple smiles out there, and this is not a joyful one.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Wow. Susan, your insight is so helpful. I want to play another clip for you, please, since we have some time. This is, again, from that Discovery ID doc, and this has been introduced as a piece of evidence in the case, perhaps one of the most critical ones, because here she denies going in reverse. And we know her own expert gave that presentation showing the reversal. So there's that. Let's take a look together.
So did you drive your car into John?
I did not drive my car into John. Didn't reverse it. Did not hit John with my car.
Is there any chance this was an accident?
There is zero chance this was an accident.
Pants on fire.
I'm going to tell you, you and I are right on the same page. There is a massive cluster there. Like for me and my work, this is textbook that I want to teach my classes, right? You know, the pause, the hesitation, the rapid eye blinking, the eye closure, the eye shutters, the denials, and then the duping delight afterwards. I mean, how many more deceptive indicators can you shove into less than 5 seconds? It's huge. And I've got to tell you, I came into this thinking that Karen Reed was innocent, but I'm telling you that this story did not happen the way that they're telling it, and she is deceiving, and she is holding back truthful information. It's written all over her face, her little short swivel. That this is no, and she doesn't really even answer no. She's not even firm in her own responses. So the smiling, the smugness, the lack of confirmation in her eyes, it's all over the place, Julie.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you. And I can remember us way back when, Susan, looking at that first initial clip. I could hear it in my head like it was yesterday, where she's like doing an impromptu press conference saying, we know who did it, Steve. We know, you all know who spearheaded this cover up. Like, she went out into the public and claimed that she was the victim. And now that we see this massive amount of evidence that proves that's not the case, I can't believe she's still lying outside of the courthouse with the various statements. It's disturbing.
I'm with you.
Yeah, disturbing.
I'm with you.
Susan, thank you so much for all of the tremendous analysis today. We'll look forward to having you back very soon. Take care, my friend. And that's all for this episode of Opening Statements. If you want to watch it again, you can do that. You can share it with your friends. Go to courttv.com, click on the Shows tab.